What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Don't Tell Mom podcast.
Hey, y'all.
Woo! The brother and sister duo podcast, where anything and everything goes.
Anything and everything.
Speaking of everything, we have a very special guest today.
Woo!
I'm like fanboying over here.
Cullen is a fanboy real hard right now.
Fangirling, whatever you want to call it. It was a task to get this whole audio video set up.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being patient and working with us.
Yeah, no
Well,
problem.
introduce her. You didn't even say who we got.
This is
Drum roll.
we have so much in common. We are Don't Tell Mom, and this is the Teen Mom,
Teen Mom.
Kail Lowry.
Hi, guys.
Kail Lowry. I love it. Hey, Kail, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on. I know it was a little trouble getting started.
I'm not good with technology is not my thing.
It's not mine either. That's what his job is, and he was dropping the ball today. So we blame Cullen on that, but it's okay. We're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
I love it. We can make it happen in a pinch, right?
We got it.
Yes, girl. Tell me everything. We got so many questions for you.
Yeah,
Where
so
do we even start?
I've been following you guys. Well, I've been following Cullen on Twitter for a while. I saw you came up on Chelsea's feed, and I was like, "Who is this? I need to find out." So I went and I found your YouTube and everything, and I was like, "Oh, I definitely love these people."
Oh,
thank you. It's so crazy how the social media world works.
Yeah,
like just the connections and everything.
A lot of your best friends you've actually met online, right?
Yes.
Through YouTube conventions and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I asked Cullen. I didn't know. So I didn't know that Cullen and you didn't know each other. I thought that y'all knew each other and had met before.
Oh,
and
no.
So I was like, so where'd y'all meet? Asking Cullen before when he got here this morning, and he's like, no, we've never actually met in person. I was like, what? He's like, we just follow each other we've been on the internet world. I'm like, oh, okay, the internet world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little different. But
It's crazy. Me and my wife used to sit, it was my guilty pleasure. It's one of those things being a guy. I didn't want to admit necessarily to watching Teen Mom and all these MTV shows and all that kind of stuff, the reality shows. But then I just get sucked in.
Yeah, you go down that rabbit hole and you can't get back out, and you're like,
yes, I'm like, what's gonna happen with Janelle this week? And
well, nothing, because she's not on the show anymore.
I saw that she got booted at in May or something. Was
something? Yeah, it was one of the months this year. I don't even know.
Okay, so I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, so forgive me. I don't watch any of it.
That's okay.
I'm very clueless, which it might be a good thing, bad thing, I don't know. But I do know, I did a little research tonight, and I just for everybody that's listening that might be like me and doesn't watch TV very much, tell me how you got started. What happened? So you're 16 and pregnant, right? Mm-hmm. That's where it started, and I was in 2010. I Wikipedia'd you. So, okay.
I got pregnant in 2009. Okay. So the first season of 16 and Pregnant was airing, and I was already pregnant, and I was like, what is this? What? I don't know. I was just scrolling through the channels or whatever, and I saw it. Uh-huh. And there was just something in me that was like, okay, well, I'm pregnant and I can relate to these girls in some way. But then I noticed that almost all of them had their families behind them. They all had really good, or to some degree, they had their, their family. So I was like, let me see. I went on MTV.com and it was casting. And so I wrote a little 2-sentence situation to the casting. And 2 weeks later, they called me and I didn't believe it. I was like, this is a prank. I didn't tell anyone I did this. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And then they picked me and I still didn't believe it. And then by October, so I got pregnant in May. I applied by June, August, and then they called me and we started filming by October of 2009.
Yeah, because you got to get on it. They got to be quick about it.
Yeah, so I was
while you're pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, I was already pretty big pregnant when we started filming, and I was the new girl at my high school at that time, and I was the only pregnant girl at my high school. So I'm the new girl, and I'm pregnant, and now I'm filming. So It was what did I just get myself into?
Right. Yeah. Who is this? So they're at your school filming?
Well, so my high school wouldn't allow them inside, so they would film me outside, leaving and going. And I still can't. To this day, I'm like, why did they pick me?
I'm trying to think back to 2009, 2010, where I think MySpace was still around.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't like as big in social media and stuff as it is now. And you know what I mean? That was just kind of taken off at the time.
Right.
And I remember, I remember seeing the show on there, 16 and Pregnant. And when I was in high school, my best friend was 16 and pregnant, and she was the only girl, and they put her in the alternative school.
Yeah.
And we were both in the alternative school or whatever. And yeah, I would like rub her feet and, like while we're in class, because she was just like miserable having to go through class and do that, pregnant. But and I just remember thinking like, wow, that is crazy that that's awesome. They're doing a show about this and like showcasing like what it's really like.
Yeah.
For someone that's that young and going through all that and the emotions and everything else. Like,
yeah,
I can't even imagine.
You had to grow up really fast.
So fast.
I mean,
I
think crazy. In some ways, I was already kind of grown in a lot of ways just because of my childhood. And so that just kind of like solidified like, yep, it's definitely time to grow up.
Right.
Yeah, it was, for sure. Grew up quicker than anyone.
So you said your childhood. I kind of had some questions about that. So what was your childhood like? I mean,
brothers and sisters.
Do you have?
Nope. I met my dad for the first time when I was on 16 and pregnant. That was the first time I had met him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was...
What, he just came out of the woodworks when
actually, his sister had reached out to me on Facebook and didn't know I was pregnant or anything. And she had been trying to find me for years. And I was like, basically, the only way that I would meet her is if she took me to meet my dad, which was her brother. And she agreed. So I was like, okay. And I told my mom. My mom's been in and out. She's an alcoholic and an addict. And so she's been in and out and kind of just not really. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, she's like, you got to go. Like, figure it out. Signed over temporary custody to my boyfriend at the time, his parents. So then I moved in with him immediately. And they're the ones that actually took me to the airport to meet my dad so that I could go fly to Texas to meet him. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit, I guess, tumultuous, if that's the right word for it.
Yeah.
My childhood. Yeah.
So you found out when you found out you were pregnant, you're with the guy. How long had you been with him? Was it something that y'all had been together for a long time? Is this like a high school sweetheart, or is this kind of like,
no, we were together for about 9 months, I think. And it was not even a healthy thing. Like, it was like,
which is forever in high school.
Well, yeah, but no, because I had a boyfriend at my old high school for like 2 years. And, so this was like pretty like 9 months, and we weren't even like, it wasn't a good relationship. Like, we were already broken up like twice, and here I am, now I'm pregnant. So it was like, I obviously wasn't making great choices.
Right.
I have to ask, did it ever cross your mind to not have the baby?
At that age?
No.
Okay. I mean, I just wonder, because I know, a lot of people, I guess at that young, you're going,
this is life.
Can I do this?
Rest of my life.
Yeah. His mom definitely brought the idea to me. But at that time I had already decided that we're going to keep the baby and we're going to, you know what I mean? Like, he had a family behind him that was going to support him regardless. And even though I didn't, I knew that I had their support with whatever I decided. So I was like, we're going to figure this out.
That's awesome. Well, thank God you had their support, right?
Yeah.
So you went and you met your dad, you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you met him, right?
Uh-huh.
And how did that go?
Hormones are raging, I bet.
He had the nerve to tell me that if he was in my life, he didn't think that I would be pregnant. And he asked to borrow $20.
Oh my gosh.
No.
So I was like,
girl, hell no.
I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I didn't know how to pick them, and apparently my mom didn't either. So
dang.
Wow.
So what was it? So you're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, no, that was the first and last time I've ever seen him.
Wow.
So that was, I guess, 10 years. This Thanksgiving will be 10 years ago.
Do you feel better doing that? Like, I have a friend that's never met his biological parents, and he's been searching for them. I've helped him. I mean, just never been able to find them. And I was going, what if you don't want to find them? Like, what if at the end of the day, it's probably better that you don't, kind of thing.
I feel like it's one of those things where you need the closure, whether they're who you thought they were or not. You kind of want the closure. And that's kind of what I did it for. Like, my mom had told me go into it with no expectations, but my whole life, because my mom was in and out, I was like, oh, he's really just saving up money to save me. He's going to come save me. We're going to be a great family. Right. and I really thought, and so I was actually disappointed, but I got the closure that I needed. I always wanted to meet him, and I did, and I feel fine. I feel good about it. I feel like and
now and you're not in this like,
right. Yeah. Like I know who the rest of me is. And he told me about my sister. He had another daughter about 4 years after me.
Wow.
And I got to meet her. So that was cool.
So do y'all get along? Does she?
Yeah, she hasn't seen our dad since she was 5.
Same situation.
He also, but I still keep in touch with her, from time to time. It's weird because they live in the same town, and I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Pennsylvania. They grew up in Dallas.
Right.
So it's like 2 different worlds.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's a huge testament that like, see how strong you are, like, and all the success you've garnered after going through all that. Like, just, I can just imagine the childhood.
Been a roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure. So you grew up in Pennsylvania, and it was just you and your mom.
I would say that my other people raised me more than my mom.
Okay.
So like grandparents, family, friends, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and your mom, like you said, she battled with addiction and stuff like that. Is she part of your life now?
No, I haven't. She hasn't met my 3rd son yet.
Wow.
Okay.
You were like strong, like super strong.
Yeah,
you're like doing this all by yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So you so you're pregnant, and then y'all have the baby, and did you stayed in school?
I did. I graduated in 2010. So I
read you went back to school or went back and got your degree or something.
I did. I have my bachelor's degree. I just got it in 2017. So it took me a while, but I did it.
That's good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you but you had the baby, and then y'all broke up, or did you, like, how long?
Yeah, so Isaac was born January of 2010, and we broke up in May of 2010. So I guess it wasn't even the baby that was hard. I think at that time for me, I was like, he's just not the one.
Yeah.
Right. So it was really that. I mean, he's still in Isaac's life, and we have 50-50 now. So it wasn't that. I realized, at 16, you might not be with the person you're going to be with forever. Yeah. So
you need to binge watch some of these shows.
I know, definitely.
Maybe not mine. Don't watch mine.
I know, it's funny. I was talking to my bestie. She out in LA, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're about to do a podcast." She goes, "Who are you going to have on today?" And I told her it was you, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I love her." And she was like, "Ask her what the beef is with Janelle." And I was like,
"Oh, I don't talk to her." Oh yeah, no, we don't talk to her.
Okay, no, that's just I don't even know who Janelle is. I was like, okay, I'll ask her.
I've seen you with Kifa.
Yeah. Seen you with Kifa.
My wife Katie can do the best Barbara impression. It's so funny.
Yeah, everyone always asks, like, every time we have like press or something, they'll always have us like redo Barb's accent or like, what's your favorite Barb line? And we're always trying, but nobody can perfect it.
That's Janelle's mom, and she's crazy. Like, they're just whew, golly. I've got to like tread thin water here. I don't want to like offend anybody, but
she's probably like offend away.
Yeah, right.
Not my problem.
So how does I've always been curious because I've seen you on Twitter and stuff. First of all, your relatableness and like like you're just chill. Like, look at you. Like,
oh yeah,
you're just chill. Like, you're
regular,
easy to get. Yeah.
Cullen, the first thing he told me about you, he was like, "Oh, you're gonna love her. She's got tattoos."
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stand up. Can you show her?
I can't show. I'm wearing a dress,
yeah.
Cullen.
She's got the whole leg tattoo too.
Okay.
All that.
I was like, oh, okay, oh yeah, tattoos, okay, automatically. And then he was like, oh, and then she has a pot hair.
Pothead hair care. Yeah.
Yes. So what is that? I got to know all about that. Pot hair care. It's not like
Pothead hair care.
It's CBD.
Yeah,
right?
CBD. Yeah, it's CBD infused hair care, and I launched that last November.
Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so what's the deal with that?
Hold on, I can't hear you again. Hold on, let me see if I can't. How do I? It's not. Like it was on speakerphone, and now it's not.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you. How did you do
it? There we go. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry, listeners. We are having technical difficulties today, but man, we're hurt. I love it.
Okay, now
okay, so yeah, I was thinking Cullen was like pot hair care, and I was like, that is expensive, you know.
Well, CBD oils is super expensive, but it's so beneficial that you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Like I have a lot of Hispanic friends, and they have these like big jugs of oil with weed in it, and that's what they use to like massage their husbands and stuff. You know, like massage his legs and stuff. And I was like, I started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, it's probably like good. They don't actually smoke it. It's just in oil. I was like, y'all wasted all that weed, but it's like, you know, but it's like they use it to massage it, and it really does have all those, you know, benefits.
Yeah,
so I can imagine. So what does it do for you?
It's full of fatty acids and vitamin E, and I have to be careful because there's so many laws surrounding CBD, but it's really good for damaged hair, for your scalp. And I don't know, I think you should try it. I'll send you some.
Right. I'm definitely gonna check that out. I mean, because we can do CBD here in Alabama.
They sell it.
Is that where y'all are at, Alabama?
Yeah,
we're in Alabama. I keep thinking that you're in California.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
You're in Pennsylvania.
I'm in Delaware. I live in Delaware. My friend just looked at me like, what? I live in Delaware.
Those hair products are getting to you.
Yeah, it must be.
So it's not legal, but like pot's not legal in Delaware, is it?
No, I mean, it's decriminalized, but I don't.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I was gonna go back.
I keep thinking she's in California though, and like, you know, Willie, like you can do anything out
there.
Got off track when I mentioned Twitter and like how relatable you are and all that. But the I see you on Twitter. Here's where I was going with this train.
Oh, no.
I see you on Twitter, and you're like, they didn't, or I don't like how they edited that or cut it up. And so I was like, what goes on behind the scenes as far as the producing of the shows and stuff?
So it's not so much I will say, based on my experience doing other reality shows, not MTV. Let me take that back. Teen Mom 2 is the least produced reality show that I've done. So they don't like tell me what to say. They don't tell us what to do. Some of the things are prompted like, Kail, this happened on Saturday. Can you talk about it? But they won't ever like script it or anything, but they have to do things in a way that makes sense to viewers, right? Like if they weren't there to film something huge that happened, it's one of those things where now it's affecting the rest of our storyline, so we have to say it in a way that makes sense. But then when they edit it down to the 4 minutes that we get each, it's not what actually happened. It's
right.
Like
I always wondered about that. So the way they're like, do whatever you want, but we're gonna edit it the way we want to.
But even still, we can't really do whatever we want because they don't get clearance to shoot everywhere. So like if I'm filming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I have 3 doctor's appointments, I have to meet at the school twice, and I got to take my dogs for a walk, they might only get clearance to shoot at one of the doctor appointments, one of the school events, and maybe they can't even clear the dog park, so they can't film that at all. So any of the missing pieces, they either have to find a way to edit around them, or they have to make it make sense to the viewers. So a lot of things get edited out or spun in a way that would make sense.
Right. Okay. I gotcha. So they're not like, okay. So I've always wondered, so if something happened or if you were like upset with somebody, would they be like, okay, hold it, wait till we can record that and then bring it up?
So like if me and my one friend is here now, if we were to get into an argument while they're filming, if it has nothing to do with the storyline that they're trying to show, they're not going to record it, film it, use it, nothing.
Okay. Didn't you know that? So you kind of like play towards that? I mean, do you like censor yourself or make yourself you're like, no, they're not going to use that anyway, so why even bring it up? You know, like in your head?
Over the years, I think all of us have learned that if we don't want something filmed, and for me, at least, it's taken me the whole full 10 years that only now am I not saying a word about something I don't want to be filmed. So if something crazy is going on, do not tell a producer, do not tell a camera person, do not whisper it off stage because they will get it and they will use it and then you have to film about it.
Right. You got to be like super guarded.
Yes. So, but like prior to, it was like, the biggest incident that I can think of is like in 2012, I cheated on my boyfriend with my son's dad. And I already told him off camera. Well, they weren't there for that, so they came into town, and I had to redo the whole thing on camera.
Oh man!
Where like now, 10 years later, I would be like, I'm never redoing that on camera. You're shit out of luck.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So,
but back then you're new.
I had no idea. I thought I would get fired. You know what I mean? Like I thought I had to do it. And now it's like, well, I should have never done that because I look like a total dick because I had no emotions because I already did this 2 weeks ago, but now you're just finding out.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like real life scenarios, but not necessarily real time.
Right.
So it's like you said get fired. So it's like a
job.
You're treating it like a job.
Oh, 100%. I mean, people are like, oh, you get paid to film, you sit around and, you live your life and get a paycheck. But also we have call times, we have scheduled shoots, we have scheduled things at press that we have to do. You have to treat it like a real job because at any point they could decide that they don't want our story anymore and they can replace us. So it is a job.
All right, guys, we're going to pause right here to take a minute to talk about our sponsor for today's video, which is Retainer Buddy. Retainer is awesome. It is the solution for all of your clear aligners, mouth guards, and retainers to keep them off of dirty surfaces.
I had a retainer back in the day, and it was always all over the nightstand, all over the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink.
Yeah.
It is also perfect for football season. This guy is a little football player. They come in different makes and models. You can collect them all. There's a gnome. There's like a little unicorn. There's a little soccer player.
Let's be real, Cullen. It's hard enough just being a kid, okay? We don't want to have to worry about your retainer and what you're going to do with it. But if you have a retainer buddy, then it makes it fun for your kids to have somewhere that they know that they have to put their retainer every day. It's got its own little spot. And, they come in these fun little characters. So
it won't look like you have dentures just laying around. Katie has her little Invisalign stuff, and it's just always just laying around. I'm like, ooh, there's somebody's teeth right there.
We got Sophia over here brushing her soon-to-be teeth.
Look at her. She's got her toothbrush. You ready, girl?
Hey, hopefully she won't need a retainer, but if she does, I'm definitely going to get a retainer buddy. So we know where it is at all times when it's not in her mouth and she takes it out to brush her teeth or eat or sleep, any of that stuff. It goes right in the retainer buddy and it has a little home.
And there you go. Christmas is coming up. Get your kids a retainer buddy for Christmas or for any other fun event. Be sure to check out the link below and go grab you one.
With the YouTube thing, it's like, you just get a real job. You just posting videos on the internet, blah, blah, blah.
No, you guys do real things and then you edit it and then you put it up. That's, first of all, I'm struggling with YouTube because I will not learn how to edit a video. I have no desire to learn how to edit a freaking video.
I use iMovie and my
I don't have, when I tell you how bad I am at technology, like if someone didn't teach me how to use my iPhone, I wouldn't be using an iPhone.
Right.
No,
that's crazy. That's so funny you mentioned because I was just researching, watching. You've got a channel, Kail and the Chaos.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that Becky in the room?
No. It's my friend Kristen. But Becky, she's
I
crazy.
saw her in one of y'all's videos. Y'all were doing the shuffle dance.
Oh yeah. What is it called?
The floss. Yeah. That was hilarious. But but it's so interesting that you say you don't know technology, but you've got a podcast.
Because I don't do the editing, but the producer does it.
You got the YouTube. You got you've done the books. What book?
I have 4 books. I wrote them, but it's not technology.
It's all yeah.
So like I'm still like handwriting my books and then having them typed on the computer because I don't like it. I hate the technology.
That's okay. You don't have to like it, girl. Just do you.
This is true.
Okay. Cullen was talking about behind the scenes, and I've always been curious with this. So, is there ever any like trysts with the producers and like the behind the scenes cameramen? Like, has there ever been any like
scandals?
Scandals? Yeah.
A lot of people have been wondering where Patrick came from. Cullen, if you've been watching, I have a new producer named Patrick. He's new. I fired my last one. I didn't like him. I said he was no longer welcome in my home, and he never.
So you're
came
allowed
back.
to have that leverage.
Think about it, because they're coming in and out of our homes. They're around our kids. Right. I film almost every 2 weeks, so they're around a lot, and I have to stay in touch with them all the time. So if it's not working and you don't want them in your space, I feel like it's only fair. He did get moved to another story like somebody else, but for me, it's like. Yeah, or like a producer might have like move on to another project or another job, and so But yeah, I mean,
I remember there was a scandal with, and I think it's a different one. I get them all meshed together with Farrah and the producer,
yeah,
or something, or she was having some type of issues with that one. Is that Teen Mom
OG,
1?
OG,
OG.
I
Yeah.
just always think like, okay, there's got to be, because I'm just thinking, okay, they're in your house, but then there's a camera guy, there's a producer, there's another camera guy, there's like
it's always 8 to 10 people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crowded.
Like, what's a typical filming day? Like, how many hours and like?
It really depends on what's going on. If I have like a full day, my dog recently passed away, and
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. They were here for that, and so they filmed us getting up. I talked to the kids about it. There's some people wait in the crew vans that they have outside because I guess they're like listening and taking notes. And then there's always like a security person, and they kind of just like follow us around. They did not get cleared to go to the vet, so they could only follow us to the vet and not follow us inside. And they followed us to go out of the vet.
Okay. Which is probably better for y'all.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it was a show first. I think it was one of those things that they've never experienced on Teen Mom, like a pet or anyone passing. So I was like, I do want to show people how I specifically talk to my kids about death and stuff like that. So, but yeah,
I was bringing her dog back over. I've been babysitting her dog over the weekend while she was doing some traveling, and listening to that recent podcast. We were talking about that, and her dog is a boxer pit bull mix, and he's just, his tongue was just flopping in the window in the back, and y'all are sitting there talking about it, and I was like, oh, it was good though. It was a good conversation.
They're like kids to us.
Yeah, you don't realize that was my first dog I ever had, so I was like, I didn't know how I was going to react to it,
Yeah, that's serious. And then you got to be with kids.
I had all 3 kids with me, and then the crew was with me, and my friends came. It was like, it was a lot, but
a production.
Yeah.
It was a production. Yeah, I can't imagine what it's like to just have to live your life when things like that happen, like real shit happens
in real time.
And you have to live it on film.
They were there when I got the call. He was at the emergency vet, and they were there when I got the call from the vet. They were there. We were filming something else completely unrelated. So immediately I'm like crying. I was in hair and makeup. Leah and I were getting ready to go to the movie or the VMAs. And I'm like crying, and Leah's like, she doesn't know what to say to me. Nobody knows what to, you know what I mean? So
right.
I almost wish that they would film like that all the time so that they would get like real life reactions instead of like having to talk about things after the fact.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
It's so intriguing. Crazy. Like when you were talking about the they could get us going into the vet, and I think me doing what I do, I think about all the editing involved as a producer or whatever. I'm like, oh, that was a nice shot. Oh, they must not have gotten clearance to go in there, and then they fade out and go to all this stuff. So I see the editing aspect to it. And Katie's like, just watch.
But it's crazy because you go through these things in life and the drama and the ups and the downs. And, I'm sure they love the drama, but like you go through regular shit too. Yeah. And then you have these people that are always around. And so do you become close with them? Are they friends of yours?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it very like strict, kind of like this is work and this is,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely rules. Like we can't like hang out together because it would create a conflict of interest, but I definitely have like my favorite crew people that I request all the time if they're available. And my producer that I'm always in touch with him, and I love him now. Like I'm so happy I have him. He's so great. So yeah, I do feel like they become to some degree friends. I mean, and whenever the show is done, I'll have like a lifelong friend that probably knows more than anyone at this point about my life. So they do become friends.
It's real personal. It's like having a work relationship, but it's
think
real
about
personal
it
for you.
We can't take our mics off when we take a poop. So it's like we're that close.
Yeah.
Really? Like they know when we're going to the bathroom. So it's like
you gotta have a good sense of humor though to even be able to do
I'm like holding my mic, like don't listen to me pee.
I'd leave it on and be like, here we go, guys. Ready? Let's do this.
So there's 8 to 10 people in the house when y'all are filming.
Yeah.
And so is there an outline of like, okay, today we're gonna film this? Or
because like she was saying, like she had already happened, and then they're like, okay, we want this and this and this out of what happened in your life, and we're gonna redo it.
Yeah. So like right now in my life, I don't have a whole lot going on drama wise. So I actually called the producers the other day, and I was like, hey, like, where am I in my story? Like, what do we need to do on the next shoot? Because I don't really have anything going on. So if you guys come film, I'm literally going to be sitting around. Like, I'm not going to have anything.
Does it make you want to like stir some shit up?
Not
So
stir some
like...
shit up, but I'm like, well, I try to fit into like my pothead hair care, like my podcast. I try to get that in the story, and sometimes it's a fight because it's like it doesn't make sense with like the teen mom stuff. So that part is hard. But I'm like, if I don't have anything else going on, why can't you guys film it? But again, it's like, how do we edit this into the story? How does this make sense to what you're doing? How does this make, are you fighting with one of the dads about going on this work trip? Like, and it's like, no, I'm not.
I can.
But do you want me to?
You can talk about Teen Mom on your podcast, and then it's all in there. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Behind the scenes.
Okay, so you're like kind of an OG now, right? In the Teen Mom world, there's like new ones that come on. Is that how this works? So there's Teen Moms now.
Teen Mom OG, which is the very first season that was on 16 and Pregnant.
Okay, so but you were the second.
I was the second season, and then I was picked for Teen Mom 2. So it's the second set of 4 moms, which now we have 5 on our show.
And you've been doing this, since 2010?
Yeah.
So, right? 9 years now. Almost 10 years.
Well, 10 years, really. I mean, Isaac will be 10 in January, so 10 years.
Yeah, that is crazy. He's going to be 10
and it's just the trajectory that your life took from that that little that email you put in the thing. I mean, can you imagine? Like, I just wonder, like, do you ever think what would your life be like if you had never wrote that
all the time? Like, where would I? Because I like to think that because of my parents and my upbringing, I really could have taken 2 routes, right? Like I could have done what I do now with or without the show, or I could have gone down a track like my mom. And so when I think about the fact that I was put on TV, would I have gone down the other road had I not been on TV? And then it's like, or would I have still done what I wanted to do? It just would have maybe been a lot different.
Right.
Do the cameras and the stress of the show bring in any with ex-husbands and relationships and stuff? I feel like that's stressful.
It is really stressful, especially now. Like Isaac and Lincoln's dad, they started their own businesses, and so now they don't want to be on the show because they want to focus on their businesses. And so then now I'm telling my story from my point of view, but who knows what they're going to say when it airs. And then Lux's dad wants nothing to do with the cameras. He's never been on the show, doesn't want to be on the show. And so he won't come around if I'm filming, which is super stressful for me because I feel like I'm having to choose between my son's father and a show that pays my bills. So it's been
I was wondering the dynamic.
Conflict. Yeah, it's been really hard.
Like, and not everybody can be on the camera.
No.
Like, my husband gets uncomfortable. I do a YouTube channel, and my husband's like, God, Britany, I don't want to get the camera out of my face. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can imagine having them 3 days a week, all day that day, it gets it interferes, with life. But okay, so were you married 2 times?
Once. I was married to my second son's dad we were together for 5 years, married for 4.
Right, because your first child was with the 16 and pregnant. And y'all broke up.
Yes.
Okay, but you were never married. You were obviously really young. But so what about now?
I'm single. I'm single as a Pringle.
Single, ready to mingle. Hey,
no, I'm not ready to mingle. No mingling.
No mingling.
I saw you and Leah partying it up over there.
Oh yeah, Leah and I joke about dating all the time, just because we're both single, and it's just like we might as well just be together at this point and have a modern day Brady Bunch.
Yeah, pull a Miley Cyrus on them. They don't know what happened. I love it.
Was Leah on the Team on TV?
Yeah, she's on it.
Yo. So who all was on there? It was Leah, Chelsea, you,
Janelle, and then they added Brianna. But now Janelle is gone, and they added this girl Jade, who was from another Teen Mom show. But they
now y'all didn't know each other before.
No, and actually,
so y'all are put together.
My ex-husband and I were at Leah's wedding in 2012, and they blurred us out because they didn't want us to be friends. They didn't want to break that fourth wall and have it kind of like overflow into each other's stories. So when you look back on seasons, you're like, wait, Kail and Javi are at Leah's wedding, but like now we're allowed to film together and do things together, and Leah and I are like best friends. So it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where's Leah from?
She lives in West Virginia.
Okay, it's not. I don't even know that.
Okay, so y'all aren't like together.
No, Chelsea's in South Dakota. I'm in Delaware. Leah is in West Virginia. Janelle was in North Carolina, South Carolina, and then Jade's in Indiana.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just think that y'all are like the one that
Like
the one reality show, like my guilty pleasure is the Real Housewives, right? So I just imagine like y'all are all hanging out and having lunch together.
Oh,
and
no.
They, like, put you together. Like,
I wonder how that would go, though. That might be a shit show, to be honest.
Yeah,
Hey, that's a spinoff.
Right.
I love watching the reunions or the recaps or whatever they call them, because that y'all all sit on the couch together and there's just that tension.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama at those things. That's why I won't film with anybody at them anymore.
But do you see like their story, or do you see it when the rest of the world sees it?
No, we see the episodes the same day as everybody else. So we don't
really.
That's why I'm always tweeting when they come on, because I want to let people know what's real and what's not, because I see it the same freaking day and I get so pissed off because I'm like, nobody warned me that this is how they were spinning it, or nobody warned me that this is what was going to air. They might might warn me the same day.
And that would make me bitter the next time. Like, no, I'm not going to say that. Or that's because of what you did last time.
Well, the VOs, like the voiceovers that we say in the scenes, they're written for us. And yesterday, I actually had to record one of mine for an episode. And I was like, I'm not saying this. I was like, I'm not saying this until you fix it to reflect what actually happened. Because if I say one thing that is even a little bit not what it was, I get my ass chewed out on Twitter or Instagram. And I don't want to hear it because that's not even what happened.
Right. Yeah.
How have you dealt with the public as far as us on YouTube and the hater comments we get?
I'm sure y'all get them too.
We not like you though. Like we've had to have like a wall put up early on, but I mean, you obviously 16 and pregnant, and then I'm sure you've heard everything under.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle with it and I read them more than I should. And sometimes I don't read them at all and I don't care. And I think that's best case scenario. But sometimes, like I said earlier, you just go down this rabbit hole and you can't stop. Or someone will message it to me. Like one of my friends will be like, did you see what so-and-so said about you? And I'm like, no, but don't tell me, because then I get upset and like worked up, and I don't want to go on a Twitter rant and then say something I don't mean, or look as low as they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's better for me not to read it and know about it than anything.
Right. Isn't it crazy how like you'll have a million comments that are so nice and like, yeah, girl, you're awesome.
And the worst one sticks out.
And then that one, Cullen, I'd gotten an email the other day. Somebody told me that they hope my daughter dies at SIDS.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, who even writes that? Like, what kind of person? And I got so fired up about it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that person. And I'm not going to let it affect me. That's like eating the poison.
Honestly, though,
there's not even...
We all go through periods where we're at like a low spot in our lives, right? Like I've noticed that when I'm not really happy with myself, I talk about other people more, or I talk behind my friend's back, and I realize that when I'm happier, I don't do that. And so having gone through that myself, when I read those comments, I said, I think to myself, this is a reflection of them right now, not of me. And so they don't even realize that they're probably in a bad spot, and they're just, they're showing in a different way. You know what I mean? So they don't realize it. And I'll tell them that. I'm like, you guys are so miserable with yourselves. And they're like, no, we're not. We're so happy. And you're like, okay. Yeah.
Misery loves company.
Right.
And get me.
Right.
I love
the time to write this.
I mean, that's good though. Bullshit. Like that's good to hear that, because I don't deal with it nearly as much. I'm just a small YouTuber, but like, I know they deal with it a lot, and I can't imagine like what you've had to deal with. So, that's awesome. Just stay positive and not let the haters get to you. I like that. Just forget about it. But yeah, that's crazy. I mean, just your life and what you've been through in the last 10 years. I mean, it's just nuts to me. And you said you got 3 books.
4
books. Okay. They're all out now. You're like, no, 4 books. So how'd you get into that? Is like writing something that you've always wanted to do? Or is it just...
Now I can hear you.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah. So is writing something that you've always wanted to do? Is that like a passion of yours, or is it something that just kind of came about because of the show and because of everything that you've been doing? Or?
I think like I've always journaled, not journaled. And so when the show first started, I would say like season 1, I started to get the idea of like, maybe this could be a book. And then by season 2, I was like, I really think that I could do a book. And then I would go back and be like, no, it won't get picked up. And then I would still write and then just hold on to everything. And then I actually got turned down by like 5 or 6 publishing houses before my book actually got picked up. So,
and obviously did well enough to do another one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did really well with the first one. And I think people really resonate with pain more. And that's unfortunate. But I think that there's so many people that go through struggles in life that can relate to, you know, the pain that people go through, right? So I think that's why my first book did so well, because they understood the struggle and the pain and just getting through, you know, life's obstacles. But my second book was a lot happier. And I think that that's why maybe it didn't do well, because as much as people say they want to see people happy, they don't. Right. They don't. So.
Right. Well, and I don't even know. I mean, you're probably right. But like on a personal level, I think that when you read something that's like raw and it's sad or whatever, it's not that the happy stuff isn't good to read too. It's just that you can relate. Like if you're going through something like that, like that's where you get your inspiration from somebody that's like going through it too. And that can kind of pull you out of your shit, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I just look at it.
We've had like musicians on the podcast before, and we always ask, like, how did you come up with that song where you were going through a breakup or something? That's when they write the best stuff.
Oh, yeah. Sam Smith is one of my favorite artists, and he won like 8 Grammys for his first album or whatever. But then his second album was like super happy and like positive, and it didn't do as well. Kail did the same thing happened to her. I think Adele, the same thing happened to her. So I think like people just, they relate to the pain so much, or they want not someone to struggle with, but they want to know that they're not alone. And I think the happiness is it's just it's just different.
And then when people are happy, like they're, like you said, they're just kind of like they're doing their own thing, and they're not looking at
the person next to them. Right.
Yeah. They're not looking at somebody else. They're not looking for music or for books or for other people or whatever. They're like in their own happy little bubble world, bebopping through life. And so, yeah, that doesn't get as much.
And that's why this podcast is going to be like Teen Mom Kail spills all the nasty drama.
Right. Like, you know,
the people get attracted. They like to see those. Like,
life is spinning out of control.
No, they like to see that negative spin on everything. Y'all some nasties.
Honestly, though.
Okay, so you got the 4 books, and then what happened with the podcast? Like, how did you start that?
So Lindsay reached out to me to do the podcast in 2017, and to be perfectly honest, just based on what I learned at school and stuff, like I really didn't have an interest in doing it, but I was like, okay, like we'll try it out and see where it goes, you know? And then I actually really fell in love with doing it. I was like, okay, this is really cool. This is fun and people are listening. So why wouldn't I continue? So now I do it all the time, and I love podcasting, and I want to do more podcasts, but you know, my contract says no. So,
okay. So tell me about that. Like so your contract with Teen Moms?
No. So I do, my podcast is through Wave Podcast Network. So they do, Lindsay and I record, and then we send it to them, and they, you know, edit out like the noises or whatever BS that we have.
They do all that technical stuff. That we're struggling trying to do on the struggle bus.
So yeah, we do that, and we release every Thursday, and it's been a good time.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing that now?
Since 2017.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. But Lindsay started it.
Well, no, we started at the same time, but it was really her idea. Like she contacted me and was like, hey, like I want to do this podcast. Do you want to be my co-host? And I was like, sure. Okay.
Are y'all friends? Like, how do y'all know each other?
We met on Twitter.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, I love it.
I was watching one of y'all's videos about how y'all threatened to cancel on each other on the podcast.
Oh yeah, all the time. I'm like, if you don't get your schedule together, I'm quitting. And then she'll do the same thing, and then like we'll record the next day, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We do the same thing.
Yeah, we're like, no, we got to do this brand, or no, we got to talk about this. No.
Well, it's hard when you have kids and stuff, and you know you're trying to. Sometimes I'm filming, and sometimes they don't technically only have to give 24 hours notice, if that, so they can, you know, if something comes up, I have to. That's my priority, and then the podcast is second. So, And she randomly texted me yesterday, said she was going to LA, and I'm like, we have to record a podcast tomorrow. That's why my friend is going to record with me today. But God.
we definitely we try to like pre-record and like get a couple, like if I know he's going to the beach or something, we'll like try to get a couple in 1 week, you know. Which is kind of hard sometimes because it's like you're kind of podcasted out, you know.
Well,
and then
Lindsay and I will do trips, and we'll record like 6 podcast episodes with guests, because those are less time they're not
consuming.
They don't yet. No, well, no, they don't have like current events, right? Like we can't like
Right.
pre-record current event stuff. So if we have a guest for a specific topic, so that's when we meet up. We try to do 5 or 6 of them at one time, but in 1 or 2 days, that's a lot of podcasting, and so you just get burnt out.
Burnout, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, you definitely like. I could totally see why you're so successful at it because you've got the gift of gab, girl. I mean,
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're easy to talk to. That is for sure.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
yes.
That's awesome. I'm definitely going to go and check out your podcast.
Yeah, we'll have to get you on ours.
Coffee
Combos. Yeah, we'll have to get you on ours. You're in Alabama. How far is that from Atlanta?
2 hours.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Are you in Atlanta? Or is that where y'all film?
Lindsay lives in Atlanta, so we do the podcast there a lot.
Wait, so what do you fly from Delaware?
Well,
down
when
to
we
Atlanta?
do the separate one, when we do the ones where we meet up and do the guest ones, we either go to LA or Atlanta and have the guests come record the podcast in person.
Yeah,
because she
put us on the roster.
We'll for real. That would be awesome.
Yeah, for real.
That would
That's
be so
awesome. Well, where can everybody find you if they haven't already seen you on the TV?
So on all my social medias, it's just at Kail Lowry, Kail like the vegetable, but it's spelled Kail. And my YouTube channel is Kail in the Chaos. I'm not good at editing videos, so they're not regular, but we do get them up once in a while.
I love it. I gotta go check those out for sure. And heck yeah, man. If I'm ever in Delaware again, I'm gonna come by.
Yeah, for sure.
I was up there. I moved a friend. I used to live in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Cullen was like, she's from Pennsylvania. I was like, oh, them Amish people too, and she's pregnant.
They're here too in Delaware. Was just at the Amish market on Saturday.
Oh, no. I love it. We were like 45 minutes, I think, from Lancaster, which was all of them. And me and my friend, when I lived out there, I was like 18, and me and this little girlfriend I had, we'd be riding in the car, and they'd be in their carts in front of us, with the horse, slow as hell.
Yeah, people just drive around.
Yeah, we finally get to where we could drive around, and every time she would moon them. And I was just like, oh my God. I mean, we were young and stupid, but it was like, oh God, how many Amish people just hate me, Yeah,
they can't get their pictures taken or anything. So don't ever take pictures of them.
No, no, we would never, but we mooned them. Yeah. That's okay. But I've been to Delaware. I've been to the beaches out there. I actually just came back from the beach yesterday down here in Gulf Shores. And I've been to, and we were talking about the beaches in Delaware, and it's a totally different world out there.
They're not blue. I wouldn't get in them.
You need to come down here and go to the beach with us. Yeah. Our beaches are like money. I've been all over the world and I've seen all these beaches, and I'm like, you know what? Alabama has got the best.
I didn't know Alabama had beaches.
Hey, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like right there by Panama City.
The Gulf of Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah, the Gulf.
We have the white sandy beaches. It's beautiful. Everybody's spread out. Up there, if you ever go to the beach in Delaware, you'll see nothing but umbrellas and like rock hard sand and all that. Down here, it's just like white fluffy sand, and everybody's spread out. You get your own space. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to do a beach trip.
Good to know.
Podcast star beach trip.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time and working all the kinks, the technical kinks out there in the beginning.
Being patient.
Yeah, I feel like I have like 100 more questions, so we'll definitely have to get.
We'll do part 2.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Seriously, I want to have a coffee convo.
I'm down for that. I'll definitely text Lindsay when she gets out of her filming now, and we'll plan it.
Sweet.
Well, you are awesome. You're a real ass bitch. Y'all go check her out if you haven't already. And thank you so much for coming on. Thank you all, everybody that's listening and watching. I said a down ass bitch. Cullen is different. She knows we're just that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I love it. Y'all go check her out, if you haven't already. And I'm definitely going to check out all your stuff. Yes. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you all for listening.
Yes.
Go check out the merch. Go follow all the links in the description. And listen next week. 2 Times Tuesday.
Episode 65 in the books.
Thanks, Dale.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.